So this is going to be a very raw video on how to build muscle. I had somebody in the comments ask me if I could give some advice on this. I could talk for hours on how to build muscle, but that isn't going to help anybody probably. So I've tried to think of the main things that you need to do. So what type of exercise is best to build muscle? It's an obvious answer, and some people would disagree maybe, but it is lifting weights. For most people, it's going to be going into the gym and doing free weights rather than machines. So if I had 25 minutes, and I have done this before, I used to go to the gym 3 times a week for 25 minutes, and I was probably in one of the best shapes of my life. But those sessions were brutally intensive, and I wouldn't really want to train like that again. And also my nutrition was very dialed in, how I ate as well as what I ate. I'll talk about that another time. My sleep was good and all of the rest of it. So free weights over machines. Why free weights? When you lift a free weight, for example, if you imagine I'm on a bench and I'm pressing 2 dumbbells, more muscles are having to work to stabilize the dumbbells. Okay, when you're in a machine, a lot of your stabilizers, as I understand it from the research, switch off, and the coaches I've learned from, they're not really participating in the exercise. So you want to do compound movements. What is a compound movement? It's a multi-joint movement. So when I do a bench press or a push-up, you can see my shoulder joint is working, my elbow is working, and even there's some movement in the wrist potentially as well, as opposed to a single joint movement like a bicep curl that isolates the bicep. So you want to be doing compound movements mainly, without getting too complex here. There's so much I could say. I mean, really you would do compound movements, and then you would do isolations to isolate the muscles that were used in that compound movement one at a time. So let's break this down. A compound movement for the chest could be chest press or a push-up. Okay, that's a calisthenic version you don't need weight for, but let's go with weights. So you would, how to train, what should a session look like? You need to warm up properly. That is essential. Guys who just walk into the gym and start pushing heavy weights with no warm up, sooner or later you're probably going to get injured. You're high injury risk. So at least get your body temperature up a little bit, doing some kind of, ideally you do mobility drills, but this is getting complex. So if I didn't know what I was doing, the least you should do is warm up the joints and the muscles in the area. So if I was going to do like a chest press, let's say, and I was just doing a minimalistic warm up, not the best, I would at least do like 10 arm circles forwards and 10 arm circles back. I would never just lay down on the bench and try and go into my heavy set. So this is really basic stuff. Some people will be listening to this and thinking, well, duh, that's, you know, even that is not enough. But I'm imagining that you know kind of little or nothing. So a very basic warm up at least. So 10 big circles forward, 10 big circles back. And I would repeat that 2 or 3 times to at least get the shoulder warmed up, get some circulation in the area. Then I would do some dynamic pec stretches. But again, none of this is medical advice or professional advice. This is for entertainment only, and assume that everything I'm saying is completely wrong. Okay, I have to say that because if I don't want anybody coming after me for, you know, so just assume that everything I'm saying is wrong. This is for entertainment only. This is my opinion only. But yeah, I would do some kind of a warm up like that. So 10 circles forward, 10 circles back, 2 or 3 times. I would then do some kind of a dynamic stretch. Me personally, I would activate my rotator cuff muscles, which are used in pushing. Then I would drop to the floor and do 5, 6 push-ups, just rest. And then I would probably do 5 or 6 more. So rest for 10 seconds, 5 or 6 more. I'm just progressively warming up the system. Then I'll lay on the bench. I'll grab a couple of dumbbells, about half to 2/3 of my target weight of my first set, and I would press those 5, 6, maybe 8 reps, say. So say my target weight for my first set on the dumbbells was, let's say, 20 kilograms each in each hand, which is like, goodness me, that's like 35 pounds, something like that. 2/3 of that would be, say, like 12 kilograms in each hand. I would just press those 8 reps, and then I would jump up much closer to my working weight. And so I would probably grab the 17.5 kilograms and do maybe 4 or 5 reps. And by then I'm probably warm, I'm ready to go, and I will do my first working set. You need to do multiple sets, okay? There are 2 things that are really important here. Number 1 is the principle of progressive overload. You need to push each set so that you are within 1 repetition of volitional fatigue, or failure, you might call it. So I might grab the 20 kilogram dumbbells and I'm going for 8 reps, and that 7th rep is quite hard. Say the 8th rep is really hard, but I still, and this is important, I can still keep my form, my technique. That is really important. If you start having to arch and you're spiraling your body one way to try and push the weight, you have a major imbalance, something's wrong. You need to take it back to basics, lower the weight, focus on your technique first. Otherwise you will wear out certain parts of your body, and your chance of further imbalance and injury goes up. Okay, so 8th rep with good form, but I'm nearly cooked, and then I put the weights down in a controlled fashion, and I'm going to time my rest. Really, really important, okay? I've seen some people saying rest times don't matter. That is, as far as I'm concerned, that is absolute nonsense. What are you talking about? So are you saying that I can just do a set of chest press and then rest for 15 minutes and do the second set? So clearly not. Rest time does play a big factor. And I would say to you that if you're just starting out, say you're in the 8 to 10 rep range, so pick a rep range, 8 reps or 10 reps, and then choose your rest time. So if you're just starting out, I would say go with 10 reps, maybe even 12 reps, so a bit of a lighter weight, slightly higher reps, and rest for 60 seconds with a stopwatch, because you will not be accurate with the rest time. Your brain will play tricks on you. It'll sort of, if you try and guesstimate it, it won't work. Or someone will come up and talk to you in the middle of the gym, and then your rest will be 3 minutes. And the rest time really, really matters. You're looking for a drop in pH, or let's say a spike in acid in the muscle. So to hit a lower pH, say an acid spike in the muscle, and then that's where your kind of 8th rep is. And then you drop, you have a rest time, you allow the creatine to resynthesize, and then you do your second set after 60 seconds, and then you push again to 8 reps, and then you rest. And certainly if you're starting out, you may need to drop the weight. So I may need to go from 20 in this example down to 17.5, and then maybe even on the 4th set, I may need to be at 15s or something, who knows, something like that. That is perfectly fine, okay? As long as you're getting to near absolute fatigue on that final rep, but with good form, that is the main thing. And with, that good technique, okay? So first set, acid spike, 60 seconds rest. Second set, near volitional fatigue, you get the idea. Minimum 3 sets. If you're starting out, you've never trained before, I might even do just 2 sets for the first few weeks, just to give your body a chance to feel, to monitor how you feel. But if you want to grow muscle, you need to be doing, I would say, at least 3 sets of a compound movement. So I hope that makes sense. So say 3 to 5 sets of a compound movement would be great, with 60 seconds rest period. And you might hold that rest period, maintain that for 3-4 weeks, and then you might change things up a little bit for a couple of weeks, but this is getting a bit more slightly, this is the next level. So you might then have 90 seconds rest, so a longer rest period, but you might drop down from, say you started on 10, 12 reps for your first few weeks, you may now drop to 8 reps, so heavier weight to make sure you get close to fatigue, and then you might extend your rest period. So that's slightly more strength focused rather than kind of the hypertrophy focus. Again, this is getting a bit beyond ourselves, but for a sort of beginning introduction to building muscle. So for a few weeks, you might do 8 reps, 4 sets with good form, getting to fatigue, near volitional fatigue with each, at the end of each set. The final rep should be really like a 9, or if you're going to go extreme, like 11 out of 10 difficulty with good technique. And then you might take 90 seconds. So it's a longer recovery, so you can lift heavier weight, and you repeat 4 times. You might stay there for 4 weeks, 3 weeks, and then you may mix things up again. There are different protocols you can do, but there are 2 protocols right there that you can follow. Now, I've spoken about working the chest. This is called a pushing exercise, chest press. You need to balance it with pulling exercise. So an inverted row. If you look up on YouTube, inverted row, you can pop your feet up on a bench. You can set a bar to about hip height. When you're stood up, it would be about hip height. You would have your feet up on a bench. You would be hanging, so you're sort of horizontal, and you would pull your chest to the bar. So it's like the opposite of a bench press, okay? And that would be working not your pushing, but your pulling muscles. It is very important you balance your body. If you're going to work your chest, you must work your back as well. And then you could work your legs with a movement like a squat. There are different, a goblet squat with the dumbbell is a great place to start. Barbell squat is a bit more advanced, and I've seen people with terrible technique in the gym. I've seen people injure themselves with back squats with a barbell. So I personally think it's worthwhile at least looking at some instructionals on YouTube, picking 2 of the key coaching points, even writing them down, taking them into the gym with you so you have a visible reminder. It's very easy, especially with a barbell back squat, when it starts to burn your legs and get painful, for you to forget the key things like chest up and stopping your knees from buckling in. There are 2 really key points. So you could do a barbell back squat. I would consider investing in a coaching session or 2 for that. If you're on a massive budget, you could approach one of the trainers who you know is good with technique. You ask around who's good for the squat technique, and see if you could cut a deal with them. Maybe say, listen, I'm on a budget. Would you consider giving me 2 half-an-hour sessions just teaching the squat? If somebody came to me when I was working at a very high-end health club and asked me that, I would probably I might even help them for free, but I might do that for them and say, yeah, sure. Like, let's cut a deal here. If you're on a budget, I respect the fact that you want to lift with good form. I think that's really cool. And I would probably just help them. Yeah, no problem. Pay me for 1 session or even for free. And we'll do 2 20, 30-minute sessions and make sure. And then when they see you, when they're walking around the gym, you never know, they may come over and say, hey, listen, there's 1 tip for you. I just saw your back squat. Just remember this 1 thing. So investing in coaching for how to do the major lifts, certainly chest, well, say deadlift, if you're going to go to that, is a great compound movement. Terrible though if you don't know how to do it properly. I wouldn't say I have the best deadlift, but it's not bad. I've done hours under good coaches, watching my technique like a hawk, just stood at the side watching. I don't know. So I'm not saying I have the best deadlift technique, but I'm pretty confident I could lift, say 1.5 times my body weight with pretty clean form. I've videoed myself as well. So yeah, I hope that helps. You got to have a structure that works for you. You've got to hit the right muscles, use compound movements. So you should stimulate each muscle group, ideally twice a week. So I'll finish the video with this. On a Monday, I might do my chest. There are different ways to slicing it. If you do a full body training session that's more demanding, you hit all the muscle groups in one session, you're not going to be able to hit the same intensity, but the upside is you get it done in one session. So if I was going to do a full body session, I would warm everything up with mobilizations, activations for the stabilizers, stabilizing muscles, and then I would do a couple of warm-up sets, always with the movement, not too many reps. You don't want to spend all of your energy on the warm-up. That's another trap people fall into. And then I might do at least 3 sets of bench press, as I described earlier, going close to exhaustion and then timing your rest. And you would keep that protocol for 4 weeks. And then I might do 3, probably 4 sets, do more pulling than pushing. So you balance your posture, you pull your shoulders back. You want your back probably more developed than your chest. Like you guys who only do chest workouts, the muscles shorten, not good for posture. So I might do 3 bench press. I might do 4 sets of a rowing movement. And then I might do 3 sets of goblet squats, okay, on a Monday, and then again on a Thursday. And if you repeated that routine for 6 weeks, I'm not saying it's going to be the most exciting, you will probably start to see some changes in your physique, okay? It takes about 4 weeks for you for the neurological changes to happen, the invisible stuff inside the body, and then thereafter you start to see physical changes on the body. Different factors will affect that, like, are you going to the gym fueled? You know, if you're going to the gym fasted, in my book, that's a big mistake, because the energy systems that you're wanting to use rely on a certain fuel. That's another topic for another time. Are you well rested? If you've had 1 hour of sleep or 3 hours of sleep the night before, I wouldn't even be doing strength training on that little sleep. I would just go in and sweat a bit on a stepper or something and do some stretching, get back and go to bed, honestly. So make sure you're well fueled, well rested. So you do that on a Monday, and then if you did that on a Thursday, after 6 weeks, you might start to see results. Now, if you go from 3 sets to 4 sets, from my experience and the research as well, you're going to see better results, quicker results. So instead of doing 3 sets of bench press, you did 4, or 4 sets of chest press. Dumbbell chest press is a great exercise. So 4 sets of dumbbell chest press, and then 4 or 5 sets, remember, slightly more pulling than pushing is good, of back exercise, and then 4 sets on the legs twice a week. You're going to see results, assuming you're lifting with good form, you're doing everything right. I'm thinking about setting something up where I will make myself available for a session or 2 for someone. I'll be on the live video call, so you'll need to maybe invest in a tripod, or at least have a place with good Wi-Fi where you can prop your phone up and I can coach you. I'll be in your ears. I have some friends who do this in horse riding. The instructor is in another country, but he's on the AirPods and he's talking to them while they're going around the arena. So yeah, assuming you're lifting with good technique, you're well fueled, you're well rested, you're going to volitional fatigue. I hope this helps. And then another key thing, this is the last nugget, I'm kind of just giving this to you in a very fragmented way, I hope it helps, is your protein target. How much protein? At least a gram of protein per kilogram of body weight, okay? So, or we could say 2 grams per, half a gram per pound of body weight. At that is like, if you're not hitting that, there's a problem, you know, really. You need to give your body proteins to rebuild, and you need to not be in, certainly not too harsh a calorie deficit. So you need to be hitting your calorie requirements if you're really wanting to build muscle. Even be slightly over. Don't go overboard with this. The bro science method of eating like Snickers and Twix and pizzas and ice cream for the sake of bulking is stupid. It's not scientific, okay? There is a possibility it could help, because you, again, belief comes into it. You believe you're bulking, so you train harder at the gym and all of that, but you don't, there's no science to that, really. So you need to be getting enough protein in. So say for me, I weigh 80 at the minute, 82 kilograms. So say at least like 82 grams of protein in a day. You can use something like MyFitnessPal to track a couple of days of eating and just see where you're at with your protein intake. It's a bit of an investment to learn to use MyFitnessPal, but once you've done it, you have an idea of kind of what your habits are, your habitual eating patterns. But ideally, you would eat 1.5 grams of protein per kilogram of body weight, up to 2.5 grams. But if someone was just to ask me, give me a number, keep it real simple, give me a number, I would say just aim for 2 grams of protein per kilogram of body weight. I think the guidelines, the American guidelines were, I think it was 2.2 grams the last, but keep it simple. Just 2 grams and you're going to be okay. So somebody like me, 80 kilograms, or what is that, 168 pounds-ish, something like that. Yeah, 160 grams of protein. I'm going to be okay, all right? So to summarize, the most important things are that you are consistent, that you have a program that hits the major muscle groups with compound movements, and that you are consistent and you stimulate the muscles twice a week to keep it really simple. So you at least 3 sets and 3 sets. So 3 sets of chest, back and legs and core on a Monday, and then again on a Thursday. That's a super simple training session. And then there are 1,001 variations. Like I said earlier, if you can do 4 sets, then you will see a big jump. Beyond 4 sets, it starts to diminish. But the other way to do it, and again, I'm passionate about this, I love talking about it, is you could do 6 sets. Okay, so I could do like 3 sets of incline bench or chest press to hit the upper chest area, and then 3 sets of flat to hit this line of the sort of the pec major. Okay, so 3 and 3, 6 sets hard, and you might get away with just doing that once a week. So I do that on a Monday, and I wouldn't touch the chest again until the Monday. I would think that doing the 3 sets and 3 sets, or 4 and 4 though, you're going to get better results if you get the 2 stimuli per week, the 2 lots of stimulus per week. But you might get away with doing 5 or 6, but you crush it in that session, that one session. And that could do it for you. And if you're going to do that, you wouldn't then do your chest, back, legs and core all in the same session, because those 6 sets you're going to be going after it. So in that case, you might do Monday chest, Wednesday back, Friday legs, and throw the core in there somewhere, and a bit of shoulders as well. But that is a very basic strength training session. So remember, reps, sets are so important, your rest time is so important, being fueled, technique is so important, and consistency. And there's so many other things I could say. That is how you get in shape. That's a very simple way to grow muscle and start to see change in your body. If you're consistent, after 4 to 6 weeks, start to see changes, certainly after 8 weeks, if you're consistent every single week. The physique most guys are after is slightly more lean, athletic, with a bit of muscle tone. And to get that, you need to bring the fat down. So bring the fat down and the muscle up. So if you imagine this is your skin and this is your 6-pack underneath, say one of your abdominals, you want to bring the fat down and augment or grow the muscles slightly so that you can then see the shape. And as you bring your body fat down, you'll see your definition more. And to do that is another conversation. That is much more about the 23 hours outside of the gym, and habit formation and mindset. But very simply, to start to see a change in your body, that is a formula. I've just given you it there. It's a bit oversimplified, but if you just do that, hit each muscle twice a week, 3 to 4 sets, time your rest with good technique, near volitional fatigue, you are going to get a result. And I'm going to record a 2-minute video to see if I can summarize this even quicker, but this is a long version. I hope it helps.